How does domestic violence affect young women? Domestic violence can cause mental illness, drug and alcohol abuse, unemployment, physical injury, and death. Mental illness. According to the Domestic Violence and Mental Health Policy Initiative, PTSD is the number one mental health symptom suffered by women of domestic violence, and the percentage range from 54% to 84%. Depression is ranked second between a range of 63% to 77%, and anxiety ranks third between the ranges of 38% to 75%. In a research study completed by Edward with a sample of 121 women involved in domestic violent affairs, resulted indicated at least 50.4% of the women suppressed moderate to severe depressed symptoms. 32.5% had PTSD symptoms, and 14% had suicidal symptoms. The result of Edwards' study is a little lower than the Domestic Violence Mental Health Policy Initiative indicates is the national average of women who suffers such symptoms, but yet it still specifies there is a significant problem which needs to be addressed. Substance abuse. Prevention of and treatment for victimizations are often linked to substance abuse issues. The use and abuse of legal and or illegal drugs or alcohol preceding a crime may be a correlating factor in a victimization, and use and abuse after a crime may be means for a victim to lessen the intensity of the pain or trauma brought on by a crime. Research indicates that victims who abuse drugs and or alcohol may be at higher risk for further victimization, causing a cycle of repeat violence that, without intervention, becomes increasingly destructive. Unemployment. Victims may need to miss work to go to court, to seek safety for themselves and their families, or need job accommodations because of injuries or illnesses caused by the violence. Victims may not feel comfortable disclosing the reason for missing work, or they may exceed their limit annually on annual leave, leading to job loss. Victims may also need to miss work to seek ongoing counseling to cope with trauma caused by abuse. Physical injury. Bruises or that look like they came from choking, punching, or defending oneself. Black eyes, red or purple marks at the neck, sprained or broken wrist, chronic fatigue, shortness of breath, muscle tension, involuntary shaking, changes in eating and sleeping pattern, sexual dysfunction, in women, issues with menstrual cycle or fertility. The National Violent Death Reporting System collects data about the violent deaths of all victims, regardless of age, gender, or sexual orientation. The National Violent Death Reporting System data is less fragmented and more complete than any previous data collection of violent deaths. The broad scope of data allows the National Violent Death Reporting System to explore the full scope and depth of the tragic impact these domestic violence and related deaths have on both females and males. While approximately twice as many females as males attempt suicide, the rate of completed suicide in the Surveillance for Violent Deaths report is nearly 4 times greater than the male and female. For males than female. Prevalence. Violence against women in its various forms is endemic in communities and countries around the world. Cutting across class, race, age, and religious and national boundaries, in 48 population-based surveys from around the world, between 10% and 69% of women reported being physically assaulted by an intimate male partner at some point in their lives. Now, I know people often wonder, why do women stay in domestic violence relationships? To avoid retaliation because of their social class and their financial dependency. Avoiding retaliation. Substantial evidence shows that the highest homicide risk is during the period when a battered victim leaves the relationship, suggesting a potential retaliation effect from exposure reduction associated with domestic violence intervention. Such retaliation effects could occur if the intervention, restraining order, arrest, shelter protection, angers or threatens the abusive partner without effectively reducing contact with the victim. Retaliation effects are triggered by intervention or other conditions that increase the motivations for violence without a corresponding decrease in opportunities. Social class. Domestic violence is a pervasive problem in virtually all countries, cultures, ethnic and racial groups, and social class. Although there have been significant gains in providing criminal justice and social services initiatives to victims of domestic violence, many victims of intimate violence who are ethnic minorities underutilize the interventions and services and available in part because their help-seeking behaviors differ from those of the dominant culture. Although intimate victimization occurs in all socioeconomic groups, victims of intimate violence are more often poor, with family incomes under $7,000 annually. For example, women with an annual income of $7,000 or less experience intimate violence at a rate of 20 per 1,000 as compared to women with an annual income of $15,000 to $24,000, 10 per 1,000, or women with an annual income of $35,000 to $49,000, which is 6 per 1,000. These victims also have higher rates of unemployment and other social problems. Financial dependency. It often takes many years to successfully in abusive relationships, and often women leave and return to the abuser multiple times. Each time they leave and try to live on their own, they may have to rely on public assistance. However, the 60-month lifetime limit on public assistance that was included in the reform package makes valuable resources inaccessible to many women. Domestic violence and social work practice. Though social workers frequently deal with policies and interventions surrounding domestic violence, the profession has been accused of not responding adequately to this particular issue. Some critics have accused social workers of not giving domestic violence priority and for allowing harmful policies such as welfare reform to be developed and implemented. Because so many social workers work in agencies that serve children and families, many critics argue that they should be on the front lines, fighting for policies and programs that will support persons who are victims of domestic violence. Instead, social workers are often seen as bureaucrats who perpetrate the problems by blaming victims, not using comprehensive theories to guide assessment and intervention, and hindering the development and implementation of programs that all allow these individuals to gain independence. What can be done about domestic violence? There are so many different things. They have batterer invention programs, domestic violence public awareness campaigns, teaching the youth skills for healthy relationships, risk assessments that's usually done by therapists, domestic violence public awareness campaigns, teaching youth skills for healthy relationships. That's very important because I think that teaching the youth healthy relationships, they'll know early what's healthy and what's not healthy. And maybe when they see signs of, domestic violence coming, maybe they can get out the relationship before it's too late. Early intervention for youth at risk for developing psychopathic traits. This commercial is about domestic violence. I'm sure you are familiar with the NFL star Ray Rice's domestic violence controversy. This commercial was made by the NFL after Ray's controversy and not before. Oh, won't let me play it. Mm.
No more boys will be boys. No more, what's the big deal? No more, it's just the way he is. No more, he just has a temper. No more, but he's such a nice guy. No more, but he has such a bright future. No more, not my problem. No more, I'll say something next time. No more, why didn't she tell anyone? No more, why doesn't she just leave? No more, I'm sure they'll work it out. No more, she seems fine to me. No more. What was she wearing? No more. She was drunk. No more. He was drunk. No more. She was asking for it. No more. She never said no. No more. Not in this family. No more. Not on this team. No more. We don't talk about that. No more bystand. No more ignorance. No more excuses. No more.